Now that I have Debian 9.4 installed on an external hard drive, I'm going to take a look at it. This is Debian stable. It's been around for about 9 months as I record this, and this is the 4th ISO image that's been released. And this has security updates and bug fixes that you would have gotten had you been running Debian 9 from the beginning and updated regularly. Also, if you saw my earlier video on how to install this, you'll note that I installed the unofficial non-free version, so I have some of the non-free drivers and media codec, and I posted a link to that video in the notes below. So I'm going to take a look at what's here in Debian stable, and then I'm going to try converting it to Debian testing and see what the differences are. First of all, I'm going to do something very simple, and that's change the background. Right-click, click on background. There's a very narrow scroll bar here at the right that appears and disappears. So let me try this one. Click on select, and there it is. As you can see, this is GNOME version 3.22.2. I think the latest version is 3.28. In addition to clicking on activities, I can press the super key or Windows key, as some people call it, and then go down here to show applications. This shows frequent. I'm going to show all. Takes a while, but they appear. And let's just take a look at what's installed. Books, Brasero, which is the CD DVD burner, calendar, Cheese, the webcam application. There are a lot of games. This one is chess. You have clocks, which gives you clocks in various parts of the world. Contacts, desktop search, dictionary, documents, evolution, an email client, files. This is Firefox ESR. ESR stands for Extended Support Release. It's generally found on Debian, but it's intended for large organizations that want extended support. It provides important security updates, but it doesn't change the underlying system as often as regular Firefox does. And it's version 52.7.2. I believe the latest version is 59. Again, there are more games, 5 or more, 4 in a row. This is GIMP, the GNU Image Manipulation Program, version 2.8. It's been around a while, but the important thing to note here is that it's included by default in the Debian version of GNOME 3, whereas you have to download it in many other versions like Ubuntu, Fedora, etc. Another game, Hitori, another one, Logno. This is Inkscape, the vector drawing program. Another game, Klotsky. It has the complete LibreOffice suite. You can see the rest of it in the next screen. Another game, Lights Off. Another game, Mahjong. It has GNOME Maps. Another game, Minds. Music. Another game, Nibbles. A chat client, Polari. Another game, Quadrapassal. Here's a utility for reporting bugs. It has Rhythmbox, music organizer. Another game, Robots. A utility for searching and indexing files and keeping track of file changes. Then it has Settings, which is the traditional GNOME settings. This is not the newer version that appears in the more recent implementations of GNOME 3. Shotwell photo organizing program, Simple Scan, Simple Screen Recorder I installed. That's the only thing I've installed yet. It has GNOME software and software and sources, which is for setting your software sources. It has sound recorder, it has Sudoku, another game, Swell Foop, another game, lots of games. It comes with Synaptic Package Manager by default. With some of the others like Ubuntu, you have to download it. Another game, Tali, another game, Taquin, another game, Tetravex. Comes with text editor, which is actually GEdit, transmission, which is a BitTorrent client. Now, utilities is a category in itself. You have the archive manager, the calculator, characters, disks, disk usage, document viewer, that's a PDF viewer, font viewer, help, image viewer, logs, passwords, remote desktop, screenshot, system monitor, terminal, and it has the tweak tool. This is provided in Debian by default, and it's a download with some others like Fedora. Just to briefly go through here, appearance, desktop, extensions. And it has a lot more extensions than some of the native tweak tools have. I'm going to install this one, application menu, add a category-based menu for applications. And you notice already this is changed to applications up here in the corner. And I'm going to add a window list on the bottom of the screen, and you can see it shows what's open. So you see my window list, and when I click on applications, I now have a category-based applications menu. So for instance, if I want to see what all those games are, I can go here, and they're not all mixed in with everything else. However, if I want to go to activities, I can still get the same overview. So you have the best of both worlds. And then, of course, there's videos for looking at videos and a weather utility. Now, going back to LibreOffice, and I'm just typing the word, let's open the writer since it popped up. This is version 5.2.7.2, really old. Version 6 point something is current. Of course, I could install the app image if I wanted, as I've done in some other distributions. When I click on the super key again, even though I have an application menu, it goes directly to the overview, and so I can type Synaptic. Before I get very far, 2 letters, I get the Synaptic Package Manager. Enter my password and authenticate. I'm just going to look up a few things that I frequently use just to see what they're like. I'm going to search for MuseScore. And it's version 2.0.3. Now, this is one application that I know a little bit about, and version 2.1 has some improvements that really make it much better than version 2.0.3. So this is one that I'd prefer to have more up to date. I'm going to search for Kdenlive. And this is version 16.12. I believe the latest version is 17.12. This is quite old. It works, but it's quite old. I'm going to see how I can change this from Debian stable to Debian testing. Now I have a screenshot of a page from the Debian wiki which shows how to change stable to testing. It says I have to edit the file etc apt sources list and change stable to testing, or I can change the word stretch, which is the current stable version, to testing, or I could change testing to Buster, which is the name of the next testing version. The difference is that if I change it to testing, it will go over to the new testing repositories when stretch is discontinued and Buster becomes stable. Whereas if I change it to Buster, it will follow Buster through as long as it's testing, but then when Buster becomes stable, it will continue to follow Buster rather than going to the new testing. Now at the bottom here it says after installing or adjusting the software sources, run apt update and apt upgrade regularly to get the new versions and security updates. If you notice that some files are not upgraded, you should also try apt dist upgrade, but beware that this command will also install or remove packages. So I'm just going to run the first two. So let me try this now. I'm going to use GEdit to view the file, but I have to open it as root. So first I'm going to make myself root, SU, press enter, enter my password. Press enter. Now I'm going to type GEdit space etc /apt /sources .list. Press enter. Now it opens GEdit in the foreground. Now I'm going to comment out some of the old ones by putting a number sign in front of them. That means they read as comments instead of instructions. Now I don't want the stretch updates because testing is going to update whenever I tell it to. I did that wrong here. So I'm going to go to these two here and copy them. Make a little space here below them and paste them. Here where it says stretch, I'm going to change that to testing. And down below here where it says stretch, I'm going to change that to testing. So now I have testing main, non-free, contrib, in other words, all three of those, and I have the source files for testing main, non-free, and contrib, and then I'm going to uncomment that by taking that number sign out of there. So this will be read as part of the instructions. Now, the instructions say that you should have the security updates also. So I'm going to make some space under those. Copy and paste them. And change stretch to testing. I could also do this with find and replace, but I'm trying to be a little bit specific here. So now I have the Debian security testing updates for main, contrib, and non-free, and also the source files for those. Clean that up a little bit. And I have to remove the comments there. So now I'm going to save that file and close this. I get a bunch of errors, however, I'm going to ignore those. I'm going to have to make myself root again. Enter my password, press enter. Apt, update, and apt, upgrade. And then press enter. Do you want to continue? Yes. It fetched 1113 megabytes in 9 minutes 18 seconds at 1993 kilobytes per second. And there were 1,477 files. Now it's reading the change logs. Here's some further instructions. Now I'm going to close the terminal. I may not need to restart for some of these items that were updated. There might be others that will require a restart, so I'm going to restart. So I've restarted the computer and we should be in Debian testing. Let me take a look. It says I'm still in GNOME version 3.22.2. I still have the same kernel. It's still the same version of LibreOffice. Let me look in Synaptic. Under Settings, Repositories, it has Debian testing listed. The only mention of stretch here is in the CD-ROMs, which I'm no longer using, of course. That's why they're unchecked. Let me look for LibreOffice. I'm going to mark this for an upgrade. And apply. It's applying changes. I'm going to restart services during package upgrades without asking. All right, so those changes were made. I'm going to leave Synaptic open, and I'm going to take a look at LibreOffice. Now it's version 6.0.2, so apparently it updated the repositories but did not upgrade my installed software. Let me take a look at Synaptic again. Let me search for MuseScore. Now the repository contains the latest version, MuseScore 2.1.0. And if I search for Kdenlive, it contains version 17.12, the latest version that I'm aware of, or close to it. So the repositories are upgraded to Debian testing, but the installed software is not until I upgrade it. So let me try something else here. First, let me just go back to tweaks a minute. One thing I forgot to tweak that I normally do immediately is under Windows title bar buttons, I enable the maximize and minimize buttons. So now they're here. Now let me make myself root again. I'm going to run apt-dist upgrade. And press enter. Do I want to continue? Yes. And the same news appears here, so I'm going to close this terminal. So that didn't do very much for me either. Let me try something else. This is synaptic again. I'm going to reload. Some of the keys are untrusted. I'm going to mark all upgrades and see what happens. And apply. Get the same news again. We show the details. That took a long time, but I hope that it did the trick. Successfully applied all changes. I'm going to close the window. And I'm going to restart again to see what happened. Well, this seems to have worked because I'm now in GNOME version 3.8.0, and it's using the Linux kernel 4.14 instead of 4.09. However, Simple Screen Recorder doesn't seem to be working. So I finally got Simple Screen Recorder working, and we're now in GNOME 3.28. What I had to do to get Simple Screen Recorder working, I'm not sure. I did several things. I switched to an open source codec, and I rebooted the system in the default mode, which said X11 as opposed to GNOME in Xorg, and that seems to have done the trick, but I'm not sure which of those things actually did it. And as you can see, we're in version 3.28.0. Everything has been updated. I also got rid of some of my other tweaks. I don't know if they affected it. You can see this is Linux kernel version 4.14 versus 4.09. text editor GEdit is version 3.28, so everything seems to have been upgraded. This is the new version of the GNOME settings. Now, looking under Apt Update Help, I see that there's a full upgrade. Maybe if I had run that, I would have gotten this result without having to go to Synaptic Package Manager and marking all updates. I'll have to try that in the future and see if it works. I'm not going to go into GNOME 3.28 in detail. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I may do a future video about that. This is XRAM Tech. Thanks for watching.